Hello again and welcome. Last episode, I spoke with instructional designers Paloma, Amy, and Lori about ways to combat the forgetting curve, focusing especially on spaced learning. Moving on, this episode, I will be continuing my conversation with them on the forgetting curve, discussing methods of retention for learned materials, and touching on the impact of building a learning culture in the workplace. Are there other ways that you can improve retention of content, during the event itself, or?
Yeah, I think, knowledge checks are a very common way that instructional designers break up the content and give them learners a chance to practice and put into action what was learned. So that's one way that I know of.
I think another way is making sure that when we're designing that we're making the information meaningful and we're connecting it to prior knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important in adult learning theory.
And so you're scaffolding off of what they already know. So because they're coming in with a level of expertise as well. So we have to respect what that expertise level is, using what they have, connecting it back. Why is it important to me? The emotional portion of it, adding in, and sometimes, time is a huge constraint for a lot of, when we're developing these, well, we have to have all this done. We have 2 hours to do it, and it has to be done in this 2 hours, right? And we know that may not be the best way to produce it, but what can we do within that to break it apart? So we have, like Lori, you've talked about even the spatial, the spacing of the learning, but can you do that also within a 2-hour period? You have something that gets them engaged, and then switching gears and having a knowledge check and having an activity, having something, and really bringing it back and then continuing to loop it even within a design. That's, it will help reinforce all of that.
I think, Amy, you were really, before we even got into this chat, on this podcast, we're talking about building a culture of learning. So, if 70% of the learning is informal, making sure that you have a strong culture of learning within your organization is really important. So they have opportunities to really socialize and practice the skills that you taught about in that, formal training event.
Absolutely. So the cultivating a learning culture, really, it's a community and they're interested in learning the same thing. So whether it's a cohort or they start in the same, group of employees onboarding, it's really making sure that they have that opportunity and they continually together can improve and they buy in right from the start of the learning process that it's something that is important for them.
Well, again, thank you all for sharing your insights on helping learners retain material that was covered and some of the impacts a learning culture makes in the workplace. In our next episode, we'll be talking about creating meaningful content and how that affects a learner's retention of learning materials. Until next time.